Hello everyone, my name is Linda. Thank you for visiting my channel, lindasueplantsforyou. Some of you know the struggle I've had with this begonia, and this was due to my thrip infestation. Unfortunately, I did catch it in time, but well, it's kind of a long story, but the short explanation is I overwatered her. So I had a bunch of leaves that looked like this that I cut off and threw away. I saved those just to show you. And what I want to do today is put my cuttings. I rooted these up with a little rooting powder. And I am going to, you can see the roots, hasn't been that long. They root up very quickly. So I am going to put those in this pot. And I'm going to cut off these leaves that are, I'm still debating whether to just cut this whole thing back, which I'm very tempted to do. In fact, I think that is what I'm going to do, because I can't deal with the long leggy look. I hate that. Even on my hanging plants, I don't like them when they get leggy looking. Even my hanging plants, I want them to have be full, you know. Otherwise, to me, they look unhealthy. So I'm going to get my poker here and my scissors. I'm going to leave this bamboo rod in here just because this is a very fast growing plant. This was my Begonia Maculata Wightii that I waited so long for. And you know, I was just talking to a friend of mine about this. When I see how fast this plant roots, I have to wonder, why were they so expensive? I mean, for a year and a half, I couldn't even find these on the internet a while back. I think I saw 2 in a year's time, and they wanted an astronomical price for them. And I just thought, no, I'm just going to wait till they come down in price. And then I ended up finding one for very inexpensive. So all I can think of is maybe they ran out and they were in such high demand that they had to make the price higher. I don't know. But knowing how fast these root, there's no reason for these to be that high a price, because you can duplicate them so easily. So I don't know, but okay. I have another plant too that I'm going to be talking about today, and that is my strawberry begonia. And that's got a story behind it, so stay tuned for that. This isn't going to take too long, I don't think, but then again, I see that all the time, and it ends up being an hour-long video. So I'm going to cut this back, and this leaf looks pretty good. She looks pretty healthy. So I think I'm going to cut right above there, because this one is okay, but she's got some damage. And this one is not good, and that's right below that, and then I'll end up with this leggy thing. So I'm going to cut this one off right here, and right above this growth point. Sorry for the grunting. Involuntary. Okay. And I'm going to cut this bad one off of here. And this leaf is not bad, but it was part of the thrips damage, so I think I do want to take that off of there just because. Just to start over. So I'm going to cut that off. And there's a lot of new growth on the end. And right here. There's another leaf with a hole in it though, I see. And I'm going to put her, you know what, I'm going to cut this again. I'm going to cut it right above this one. And then that can be the top. There's lots of nodes on here. Lots of places for new growth. So she's got a fresh cut on the bottom, and I cut it on an angle. And then she's got a fresh cut on here, but I'm going to cut that on more of an angle too. And for those of you that don't know, it's just when you cut it on an angle, it gives you a bigger space, a bigger surface to uptake the water, as opposed to cutting it straight across. I think you can see that, I hope. Okay. Now I know that these can root in soil, but I cut. And see what happens there. I prefer water propagation only because I can see what's going on, and because my plant care is so sporadic due to health issues, I really need to be able to see. I can't trust my memory and my routine to be able to, you know, check on them. And you know, if I were to put them in the soil, then I got to remember, where did I put the cuttings as opposed to this growth, because the cuttings have to stay wet until they develop roots, as opposed to these already have roots. So I have done that successfully with other plants, but I'm not going to do that with this one, and that's the reason why. I feel like this needs more dirt in here, but I don't know how far down the original line went, so I don't want to do that right now. Okay. Now, on this side, and I know a lot of you are probably just cringing as I do this, and I don't blame you. Once again, I'm cutting right above the node. There is a new growth coming out here. Whether she's going to make it or not, I don't know, but we'll give her a chance. We'll give her a chance since she's already in the soil. Now, I could have left this in there, and I'm going to show you why in a second. I want to get the old sheathing off here, and then she will get new foliage along the stem, but I didn't have any starting, so I didn't want to leave those other ones. But on this one, I'm going to leave it, and here's why. If you can see, my hand out of the way, you can see. Do you see that? That new shoot right there? There's one there, there's one here, there's one here, and there's more up here. So I am going to root this in water. I'm hoping this is going to be okay if it gets underwater. I'm a little leery about that, but or maybe I should just stick that one in the soil. Maybe I will go against my better judgment here. I want to cut this. I want to cut this right here. And I got 2 shoots, 3 shoots here. Oh, I gotta cut one off because I need at least 1 node to go in the soil, so I'm gonna have to do that anyway. What to do, what to do. This one almost looks like it's damaged. Oh yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. I'm going to cut that off. And there's a new shoot, a new leaf right here. Coming out. And right here. So she's coming back, folks. You remember how sad I was on my other video? I was so sad when I saw that. I am going to cut this right here. And as you can see, I got a shoot coming here, a shoot coming here, and this one I have to cut off because I need somewhere for the roots to come. Now, I probably could put that in water and it might still produce some roots, but I'm going to cut that off because I think it'll give it a better chance. And I'll just put this in a smaller glass vase, a shorter one. I've got one here. And then I'm going to cut this one right here because I want this node at least to go into the water. So I'm going to cut this one here. Whoops. I'm going to root this piece. And I'm going to root this piece. It's got one node that's going to be in the water. Okay, so that's what I got off of this plant. Then I'm going to take this one, which I rooted, and I don't know what I was thinking, but I put the whole thing in there, and now if I plant it, I don't want to plant it too deep, so I'm thinking I might have to cut this back and re-root part of this because it's so tall. I don't know. Maybe not. You know what? It's got some roots coming out of the nodes there. You can see that. I think I am going to put this whole thing in water. I mean in soil. Yep, that's what I'm going to do. So let's stick her in there. Try to get her kind of close to the bamboo. I'm gonna have to wet the soil, or it isn't gonna it isn't gonna stay where I put it. Alright. When I edit my videos, I have to giggle because every time I forget something and I have to get up and go get it, I can hear my slippers shuffling across the floor. Reminds me of my grandma. Makes me feel old. Okay. You know, I was going to put these all in this taller vase here, but they're going to end up underwater unless I just dump some of that water out. No. I'm just going to put them all in this little one here. And she'll be fine. I'm going to put rooting powder on there in a minute. And she might have to actually, these might even have to go in a bigger, something in between this one and this one. See, I thought I had everything planned out. But you know what they say about the best laid plans? Okay, and I want to get some water in here. We've had some gorgeous weather here in Wisconsin for March, but, and you know, when I was a kid, I can remember the old saying was, the month of March comes in like a lion and goes out like a lamb. Well, that didn't happen this year. It came in like a lamb and went out like a lion, and it's not done yet. We've had a lot of wind, and that's okay. I mean, I think that's God's way of cleaning things up, you know. It knocks off the dead branches that would otherwise be stuck in the trees, and it does, it's okay. I have a friend who hates the wind, and she doesn't like to be out in it, and I don't blame her. It's hard to work in the wind. But I guess I think we have it for a reason, right? Okay. Being very careful not to break the stem down in there. There, that worked good. Okay, this is turning out even better than I thought. Now, now we've got a reasonable height here again, without too much bareness. I still don't like the way this looks here, down here. I want this to fill up, but that's what these will do because they're short. So by the time, whoops, not those, these that I just cut out. Well, and these too. I've had these rooting, and oh look, see the roots and see the new growth coming there. So she's doing good too. I think I gotta turn this a little bit so you can see what I'm doing, because okay, I just want to get the old, clean her up a little bit, get the old sheathing off and the protection. And then I'm going to stick her in. Now she's got a leaf here that's, yeah, that's also old thrips damage, but yeah, I'm going to cut that off too. I know some people might leave that on there, but I just went through such horribleness with these strips. I just want to get rid of any reminders of it, I guess would be a good way to put it. And, oops. Trying not to break my leaves up there, but I need to make room for these stems. They're pretty thick because they're old. This plant is, well, actually, it's a year old. I got this last year at this time. It was in March. I got it at Walmart, believe it or not. It was outside. We went to buy seeds, and we were in they had the outdoor section, you know, open to the public where you get your seeds and bulbs and all of that. And this was out there. I couldn't believe it. It was so cold and so windy that day. I'll never forget that. I can't seem to get this down far enough here. And I thought, oh my goodness, that plant is not going to make it through the night. And who knows how long it was out there. So I bought it, brought it home, and she loved it in my house. She did fine for the whole year. Until I got the thrips. Okay. Now my husband was looking at that fly strip that I have in the bathroom. He said he did see 1 or 2 more bugs in there this week, so I'm hoping that's the end of it now. See, the problem is if you don't treat, and that's why I use those fly strips, you can spray the leaves and you can treat the soil, but if you have, you know, fungus gnats or thrips flying around, they're eventually going to lay eggs somewhere. And if they get lucky and find a plant that you forgot to treat or a spot that didn't have enough poison in it, they're going to lay, I believe I read somewhere or heard somewhere, fungus gnats can lay up to 300 eggs in one sitting. So you can imagine. But I don't believe those are fungus gnats, because fungus gnats, they usually, you can see them. They fly around the room and they're very, very fast. Thrips also fly, but they don't fly real well and they're not very fast flyers. So if you can actually follow that with your eye, the chances are it's not a fungus gnat. Okay, I'm going to stick this one in there. I think we're just going to go with this. But those fly strips work so good. They're ugly, they're icky, stinky looking. I hate them, but boy do they work good. And they're just those regular fly strips that you buy at the hardware store, those long sticky tape. And I know people that use the other kind, the cardboard kind, yellow, that are, you stick right in your plants. But I want to tell you, be careful with that, because what ended up happening, I bought a box of those myself when I got my first fungus gnat outbreak. And what I noticed is when I put those strips in there, it was attracting them to plants that didn't otherwise have them. So if you do use those, make sure you're putting it in the plant that's got the problem. Otherwise, you could be actually causing that to spread. And it happened more than once, so I'm absolutely positive that that's what happened. It's not a guess. Okay. Having a hard time getting these down in there because the root system for the original plant is quite big. So I'm trying to find an opening that I can stick these in and not cause damage to the original plant, but to get this down far enough where it's gonna be okay. There we go. Okay. All right. And one more, I think. Yep. And there's roots on here. These could probably go a little longer, but because it's the begonia, I'm not going to worry about it. I know that it'll be okay. There are some plants you wouldn't want to plant with that short of a water root system. Generally, I like to wait until they're at least an inch or two. But then there's a fine line there too, because you know, if you wait for them to get, if you forget it and they get too long, they have a harder time acclimating to the soil, because soil roots and water roots are not the same. They soak up their nutrients differently. So keep that in mind when you're planting your cuttings. It's very important, if you start it off in water and then put it in soil, that you keep that soil damp, at least damp, if not moist, for a week or two until it gets used to being in that soil. Even if it has roots on it, you still want to keep that damp, because you got to remember it's been sitting in water. So you take it out of that water and you put it in the dry soil, and it's going to cause a little bit of shock. Not that they won't grow, but you're taking a chance. Okay, folks, this is this is it for her. We're just going to put her back in her favorite spot here in my east window and keep a very close eye on her and watch and see what happens. But it looks like she's going to make it. Want to thank all of you who sent me those encouraging words and understood my pain when I found this plant. I can't believe I did that. I'm a chronic underwaterer, so for me to overwater a plant by accident just never happens. But that is what happened. That's what I did. And I was so mad at myself. But, you know, it happens. Okay. Put this aside. I won't be needing this one. And I want to stick a little rooting powder on these. Should have did that before I put it in here, but it's not going to hurt anything. This container is not airtight, so it will dry out. And it's not the first time I've done that, so I know it'll be okay. Alright. And again, rooting powder that's your choice. I've seen experiments done by avid plant growers where they have proven that rooting powder is not the cure-all. I saw Ray from the Voodoo Garden once he did some cuttings. I think it was on purple velvet plant. I'm not positive. But he used the exact same soil, the same solo cup, and the same watering method. And he did one with rooting powder and one without, and he put the dates on it. And you know what? There wasn't a hill of beans of difference between the two. So for that plant, it didn't matter. But yet, I've had some, my Scindaptus exotica, I could not get that to root. I had it in water for weeks and it wouldn't root and wouldn't root. So I kept snipping the end of it off, just a tiny bit, like 1/8 of an inch, if that, to give it a new surface to suck up the water. And then I restuck it in rooting powder and stuck it back. And as soon as I started doing that, like every couple days, all of a sudden she started getting roots. So for that plant, yep, I'm definitely going to be using the rooting powder. So I think a lot of it depends on the plant. Okay, here she is. Bottoms up. And this shouldn't take long, a couple days and she'll have roots. And then I'm going to stick her in this pot. I love this pot. This is a clay pot. I got this at, where did I get this? Stein's Gardens. No, was it Stein's? I don't remember. And I just got them not that long ago. But anyway, yes, it was Stein's Garden Center. And I know those aren't nationwide, so it's neither here nor there to you. But anyway, they're starting to carry them at other, like Lowe's and the big box stores too. And for those of you who don't care for the terracotta color, this is a great alternative. I love both very much. I just love the terracotta. I love the feel of these clay pots. Like I said before, there's something very earthy about it, and I really like it. So, okay, I am going to get her out of the way. And we're going to quickly repot my strawberry begonia. Now, those of you that remember, or hopefully will remember, year and a half ago or so, I had a huge strawberry begonia, and she was beautiful, and you can see her on other videos. If I have time, I'll try and find it and insert the picture of it now that I know how to do that. Yay! And but anyways, it was a long story behind this plant, but the end result was I had one tiny little piece that was about the size of my fingernail, and I thought, well, I'm going to just throw her on top of the dirt and give her a little water and see what happens. All it can do is die. And lo and behold, look what I got. She's growing very fast. So I am going to put her in a bigger pot. I want to hang her back up in a window. And hopefully she'll get big and beautiful again. I made a baby of that plant. It was about a year ago. And because I wanted to start a plant for a friend of my granddaughter's. And it grew very fast. It was big. It was beautiful. And the day my granddaughter came to pick it up, she said, well, which one is it, Grandma? And I said, it's the one hanging on the window there. And she went to grab it. And as she was walking past me, I said, wait, hold it a minute. The thing was full of mealybugs. I didn't have them on any other plant. I didn't have them on the original mother plant, which was right next to it, by the way. But that plant was full of mealybugs. I don't get it. The only thing I could think of is it had to be in the soil. And that brings me to my next comment I'm going to make here. Be very, very careful today when you buy soil, because I have brought home, for sure, fungus gnats. And I'm thinking that's where those mealybugs came in as well. Because they exploded almost overnight. And like I said, they weren't on any of the plants that were next to it that it was touching. And it wasn't on the original mother plant either, so it had to have come in the soil. And it might have just been that I had a couple eggs just in that one spot. And that's the part of the soil I used for that plant. So, very frustrating, but we tried to treat it for months. Had it in a bag in the other room, and I thought we were making headway, but no, it didn't. Every time I thought we got rid of them, another one would pop up, and I said, that's enough. Throw it out, because I don't need that infecting the rest of my plants. And I know I say that a lot, and some people get sad about that, but you know, when you have a lot of plants, you can't sacrifice your whole collection for one plant. And I don't have a second floor, and I don't have a basement where I could put a little greenhouse. I have a very small home, and I don't have a lot of places to segregate my plants, so I didn't have a choice there. Okay. Okay. Now I'm trying to be careful that all the roots are covered, but the leaves aren't touching the soil. And that's hard to do with this plant, but it is important, because whatever's touched, if these leaves touch the soil, they'll rot. It probably would be a good plant to do bottom watering with, but I'm not good at bottom watering, so when you bottom water, it's a little, you have to be a little fussier and a little more scheduled, because you put the water in a pan and then you set this down in there, and once the top of the soil is wet, you have to take it out so you don't rot the roots. And I have a habit of not getting them back out in time, so I stopped doing that. I used to do it with my African violets, but I caused more damage than I was doing the other way, so I stopped doing that. But okay, I think this is good. I hope. She needs more water, but I'm going to have to take her to the sink because she's got too much in the tray there already. So I'll do that when I'm done here, but there she is. And as you can see, there are some leaves that are touching or almost touching the soil, so I'm going to have to keep a close eye on that. And as soon as they start turning like this one, you can see that's water damage. That's from touching the soil, not drying out. But I'm going to just leave that be for now, and hopefully I can get another big beautiful plant out of her. I'm excited about it because I think it's going to work. And we'll see, because the original plant that I bought like this, I got from Lowe's, and it was bad. It was in a pot this size, and it was waterlogged, and it was dying, and I brought it home and brought it back to life, and it turned into a big, gorgeous, beautiful specimen. It was just gorgeous. And that's my hope for this one. I got to find the hanger for this pot, and then I'm going to hang her up back in the window. All right, that's about it. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope you'll come back and see what kind of progress, if any, I made. And in the meantime, I hope you all have a great day. I do have some other repotting videos coming up here. Not sure if I'll get to that today or not yet, but stay tuned. Got a lot of interesting stuff happening here. And I've also got a surprise coming for myself. It's well, I don't want to tell you what it is. I'll let you know when it's in the process of almost done. Something my husband is building for me that we desperately need here, and I'm so excited about it. I can't wait. And I don't want to spill the beans yet. I'll let you know when when we're a little closer to being done with it. But okay, in the meantime, thank you all for coming. And I hope you all have a wonderful day. Bye now.